formalization, and legalization of LGBTQI+ in its entirety, in whatever shape, form, or character. We stand united opposed to it. The Caucus therefore supports the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021, otherwise called the Anti-LGBTQI+ Bill. And I should use this opportunity to commend the Honorable Sam George and other members of the coalition, including the Honorable Nelson Dafamepo, Honorable Bejra, Honorable Mfojo of the New Patriotic Party, Honorable Dela Sowa, Honorable Rita Odole, and the Honorable Sohine, who is just joined us, for the courage and leadership they have provided so far in demonstrating that members of parliament do not represent themselves but represent the electorate and exercises any mandate in accord with the aspirations and wishes of the sovereign will, the people of Ghana. First of all, it is our belief that we as representatives of the good people of Ghana have an obligation to protect the moral fiber of Ghanaian society, to promote the cohesion and unity of our country, and more importantly, to preserve its time-tested cultural practices and beliefs, which has kept us together as one country. There are those who claim that the LGBTQI is a matter of human rights. Let me remind them that when in 1960, Section 104 of the Criminal Offences Act 1960 was passed, where were those rights? Where were those rights? So if you go back to memory lane, as representative of the people, as I said, Ghanaians agreed to punish any person involved in having unnatural carnal knowledge with another. Specifically, Section 104 of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, prohibits us from having unnatural carnal knowledge. There are those who are overstretching those rights to absurdity, indeed incredible absurdity. May I ask, when they say that they are promoting those rights, is it to be placed under the UN Charter adopted in 1945? Is it to be placed under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted in 1948? Is it to be put in the context of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights entered into force in 1976? Or the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights entered into force in 1976? We know, this minority caucus know, as a matter of fact, a matter of history, that the world have passed through 3 generations of rights. The first generation relating to civil and political rights, the second generation on economic, social, and cultural rights, and third generation, collective solidarity rights. It did not contemplate LGBTQI rights, nothing more. Therefore, we cannot find legal space for those arguing on this particular matter, rather than stretching it to those absurdity and absurd limits. We must all endeavor to ensure, as I said, and preserve the sanctity of Ghanaian family values, to keep the unity, the cohesion, and the stability of our society, and more importantly, the continuity of that particular society. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, the collective morality and natural order of things rest on the hands of Ghana's 275 parliamentarians, majority and minority, so that when we pass this anti-LGBTQI bill, and all the righteousness it represents, men will say 1,000 years from today that this was our finest hour in every sense of that expression. And we want to be recognized historically as belonging to this category of persons. Indeed, I've heard arguments about the remit and context of Article 108 of the Constitution. I look forward to addressing a joint press conference with my colleague, the Majority Leader, because we only can build consensus on one matter. We only can build consensus on one irresistible fact, that we stand opposed to the introduction, formalization, and legalization of LGBTQI rights in Ghana. Article 108, for those of you who want me to quote, Parliament shall not, unless the bill is introduced or the motion is introduced by or on behalf of the President. We've gone beyond this. The bill has been introduced and the bill has been referred accordingly to a committee of Parliament in accordance with this Constitution and our standing orders. Indeed, Article 108 provides A, proceed upon a bill, including an amendment to a bill, that in the opinion of the person presiding, person presiding referred to as the Speaker of Parliament, makes provision for any of the following. I'm sure the Speaker rightfully and faithfully made a determination on the matter before the bill was introduced and accordingly referred to the appropriate constitutional review, the appropriate committee of Parliament to examine it and report back to plenary. I've heard even arguments to the extent that where does the Speaker stand? Let me remind ladies and gentlemen of the press that the Speaker of Parliament and every other Speaker of Parliament, past or present, are citizens of Ghana first and leaders of the country, and have a right to espouse their principles and values on any matter of national interest or national concern. They are expected to provide nothing more than leadership. And those of you who are familiar with lawmaking, may I refer to my standing orders. It does not mean that Speaker Alban Sumana Bakben will reduce himself when we get to the nitty-gritty of the consideration stage of the bill in accordance with the standing orders of the Parliament of Ghana. Be assured, we in the minority will insist a clause-by-clause vote on every word, every accompanying sentence. We will insist on a vote, including amendment to any provision. Arguably, as is provided for in Standing Order 129 at the consideration stage of the bill 129A, Mr. Speaker shall call the number of each clause, and the clerk shall read the marginal note opposed to each clause or notes on top of each clause, and if no amendment is offered, Mr. Speaker shall, after each clause has been called, put the question that clause so and so stand part of the bill. I do not think that the Speaker participates in this process other than being a guardian of the practice and procedure of Parliament, consistent with the 1992 Constitution and the standing orders of Parliament. For those of you who are students of interpretation, one of the most brilliant authors is Cross. Marginal notes are a guide to interpretation, so that you know the specific section which is dealing with the matter. And we are saying that when it comes to the important subject of the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021, we will do what is legally needful within the 1992 Constitution, clause by clause. And we want every member of Parliament, I'm not referring just to one side, to get counted and to stand to be counted as reflecting the aspirations of the Ghanaian people, where they want this country to stand. So it is not going to be it's a one-item agenda press briefing. Once again, as I have said, I want to commend those courageous members for making all of us proud and for making Ghana proud. I've heard that we are united, and I believe that we are united. Certain issues of significance either make or put asunder the collective or unity of a people of a nation at critical moments in its history. This is one, and the Parliament of Ghana must stand the litmus test. It will be a watershed decision for the country, and I assure you, if anybody fails you, not the NDC minority. So once again, I want to commend my colleagues who have provided leadership: the Honorable Sam George, the Honorable Soyini, the Honorable Dafemepo, the coalition, Honorable Bejira, who provided enormous leadership, and Honorable Ajuan Toso, and Honorable Ntim Fojo, who doubles as Deputy Minister for Education. Indeed, if I have any power, they are holding high the moral flag of our country, and we are proud of that. I'll be happy to take some questions from you. God bless.
Thank you very much, Leader. Maybe we'll just start this way. So you mention your name and your listen, and then you ask a question. We'll take 3. Leader response, then we'll continue. Yes.
Okay. My name is Ajon Amengsa. Quick one. Leader, do you support the...
Where are you coming from?
Yeah, I'm coming from JBC Online. My name is Ajon Amengsa. Leader, do you support the proposition that the debate throughout the process should be telecast live? Apart from public hearing, all you all know that it's open to the public.
I've always said that Parliament must be more open and more transparent and accountable to the Ghanaian people, not just the debate of plenary, but all the works of the committees of Parliament on this important bill. That is what you, the media, must support Parliament to do. That is accountability to the Ghanaian people and the Ghanaian electorate. Thank you. I'll take the next question.
Yes.
Leader, you kept mentioning names of the 8 members of parliament who have sponsored this bill, and you used the word courage. Are there repercussions they are already suffering? We told some have been denied visas. What do you make of the posture of the diplomatic community relative to this bill?
When you were being born, were you aware that there was any other country superior or better than Ghana? Thank you. We lived in our country.
Yes,
Thank you. My name is Kweku Sechidan, so I work with GhanaMPs.com. Leader, you indicated clause by clause, and you get everyone should get counted when it comes to this particular bill, knowing the nature of how things go on the floor of the House. Can we get some assurance that you get members to be seated to really work on this? Usually when it comes to crafting of bill, we don't see a lot of MPs showing interest, and we only have few on the floor.
Thank you very much. On this particular matter, we will guarantee enormous interest and enthusiasm and participation, and we want to stand counted. Thank you.
My name is Charles Sakrofi, Class FM. Leader, I want to find out, has the issue now become political? And I ask because Honorable Muntaka, with regard to your opening remark, you did say that Honorable Osei Mensah, went on a tangent that you would want to respond to some issues. The other time when we met at a press conference here addressed by Honorable Osei Mensah, so he did make the point that Honorable Haruna, he tried getting you to be part of the presser that day, but for some reasons you couldn't come. How's the issue that we're talking about now, LGBTQ plus activities, become political?
That's very true. It is not political. There is a threat to the moral fabric of our society, to the unity and cohesion of our country, to our moral values, and we stand united together with our colleague on this matter. He couldn't reach me. I just got back from some trip, And therefore, I'll consult with him, and I indicated it in this press conference, so that myself and him will jointly address this matter. What has become contentious is whether Article 108 or the Attorney General and Minister for Justice should now own the process. By our practice, we've passed that process, but the Attorney General on the floor of Parliament can espouse the position of the executive. In any case, we don't want to unite the country together. I don't want to believe that there was some acquiescence on this matter. The Attorney General and the executive could have been much more proactive on this legislation, and in particular, enforcing the provisions of Section 104 of the Criminal Offences Act. And what you need to appreciate, what is it that our courageous group is doing on the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values are doing? Go back. 108 doesn't stand alone. Go back to 106. There is a mischief. Our country abhors it and made it punishable criminally in the Criminal Offences Act. It has found expression. What has happened to those who have done that consistent with existing law within the meaning of the true facets of the rule of law? And therefore, this bill seeks to deal with the defects and mischief of the weakness of existing legislation on that matter. I thank you.
Yeah, okay.
My name is Julius. I report for the Ghanaian Times. Leader, what do you make of claims that this bill, if passed, imposes financial burden on the states? Because, for example, if a practitioner, so to speak, gets jailed, the state will be using money to feed the person, house the person, clothe the person, and all that. Do you agree with that argument that this bill imposes a cost on the state, and for that matter, it should be forwarded to the Attorney General?
We will respect the provisions of the Constitution. As student of equity, equity will look into the substance, not the form. And therefore, we are open to some discussions in order to promote anti-LGBTQI legislation in Ghana. Nothing more. That we will not support its introduction, we will not support its formalization, and we will not support its legalization. That burden is a taxpayer's burden. We'll cross that bridge.
Will you make an effort to get this bill to the AG's department?
The AG too can make efforts to reach out to the sponsors of the bill. In any case, what are we going to do to Professor Michael Quay and the 7th Parliament? Monumental historical shift that members could now come on private members' bill. Don't kill it at birth. Thank you.
Because of LGBT.
Yes, I can sit here, right?
I'll take the last two.
Honorable Leader, please. Already there is, my name is Duke City of them. Already there is pressure from chiefs and residents of various constituencies on their MPs to vote in a certain manner when it comes to this bill. You have stated that this secret ballot and finding out individual position of MPs when it comes to critical matters. How are you going to ensure that people know?
The MPs are to decide whether they are representing themselves or they are representing the electorate. Thank you very much. So it's a decision for the MP to make whether you are representing yourself.
Let me just add, you know that the only time we have secret ballot by our standard and constitution is when we are putting people in office or removing them from office. Any other, unless we decide that we are going to do it secret, the law is to do it publicly. If you check our standard, every other vote, with the exception of putting somebody in office or removing someone from office, that the constitution mandates that this one be done secret. Any other thing is public. unless we choose to do it otherwise. And I don't think this will warrant that we say that we are going to do this behind closed doors.
No.
So
All right, and then
the last one.
No, before I take the last one, for those of you who are still students of human rights, in recognition of the sovereignty of nations, the European Court made a landmark decision on same-sex marriages. The European Court of Human Rights ruled that European nations, I'm quoting, are not legally obliged to allow same-sex marriages, unquote. 2010 ruling of a European court. Then you come to Ghana. Our courts, our parliament must reflect the values,
The people.
the moral values of the Ghanaian people, nothing more. Yesterday I was saying that when you grant some of these rights, transgender, then very soon in a male bathroom you find a female entering, and a female bathroom a male will be entering. And to our children will be wondering what happens to the concept of father and mother. So we thank you.